Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and pleasant day to each one of you.
The practice of civil engineering within the meaning and intent of this act shall embrace services in the form of consultation, design, preparation of plans, specifications, estimates, erection, installation, and supervision of the construction, like streets, bridges, highways, railroads, airports, and hangars, port works, canals, river and shore improvements, lighthouse and dry docks, and also building fixed structures for irrigation, flood protection, drainage, water supply and sewerage works, and also demolition of permanent structures and tunnels. In this act, the term used, civil engineer, it is mean that a person duly registered with the Board for Civil Engineers. After the approval of the act, there will be a board of examiners for civil engineers within 30 days. This refers to board. The board was composed of chairman and 2 members and shall be appointed by the President of the Philippines, with recommendation of the Commissioner of PRC. The members shall hold office for 3 years, 1 member for 1 year and 1 for 2 years. With the recommendation of Professional Regulation Commission or PRC, the President of the Philippines can remove any member of the board when they neglect their duties, incompetence, malpractice, unprofessional, unethical, immoral, dishonest conduct, or any inappropriate behaviors. The President shall have the power to suspend such member, and he shall appoint a temporary member until the investigation was done. The members of the Board for Civil Engineers have given responsibilities. They are authorized in understanding issues, certificates of registration for the practice of civil engineering, and any issues related to civil engineering practices. It is their duty to help in the improvement of the provisions on this act. At the time of appointment, each member shall be a citizen and a resident of the Philippines, at least 30 years of age and have a good moral character, and a graduate of civil engineering from a recognized and legally constituted school, institute, college, or university, and a registered civil engineer to duly qualified to practice civil engineering in the Philippines, and have practiced civil engineering with a certificate as such for a period of not less than 10 years prior to his appointment, and not be a member of the faculty of any school, institute, college, or university where civil engineering course is taught, and no former members of the faculty of any school, institute, university where civil engineering is taught can become a member of the board unless he had stopped teaching for at least 3 consecutive years. The Board of Civil Engineers shall charge 100 pesos for each application of examination and 50 pesos for each certificate of registration. The payment will be collected by the collecting and disbursing officer of the PRC, and the board shall be receiving a compensation of 15 pesos. A yearly report of the board shall be submitted to the PRC. The report was the details and activities during the prescribed year. All applications of registration shall pass the required examination for practice of civil engineering. The examination is given by City of Manila. When the given day falls to holiday, the examination of the aspiring candidates will be moved to the next day. The aspiring candidate shall examine the following subject: mathematics, including algebra, plane and spherical trigonometry, analytics, descriptive and solid geometry, differential and integral calculus, rational and applied mechanics, hydraulics, surveying, including highway and railroad surveying, plane, topographic and hydrographic surveying, and advanced surveying, design and construction of highways and railroads, masonry structures, wooden and reinforced concrete buildings, bridges, towers, walls, foundations, piers, ports, wharves, aqueducts, sanitary engineering work, water supply systems, dikes, dams and irrigations, and drainage canals. The executive officer of the board is the commissioner of the Professional Regulation Commission. The executive office shall conduct the examination created by the board members. He shall select a subordinate officer of the PRC to act as secretary and custodian to take care of the records of papers of the examinations. The applicant of the examination shall be at least 21 years of age, a citizen of the Philippines, and have a good reputation and good moral character, and be a graduate of 4-year course in civil engineering from a school, institute, college, or university recognized by the government or the state wherein it. All those who pass the given examination by the PRC shall take an oath prior in practicing civil engineering profession. This oath was the fundamental principles and the canons. The licensed civil engineers shall have their own seal. The serial code shall be included in the design seal, and this seal is designed by the board. The seal is used to stamp in a civil engineer's design, plans, and specification, and so on. It is against the law when sealing documents while the certificate of registrant is expired unless it is renewed or reissued. First, registration shall not required of the following persons. Second, any person residing in the Philippines may make plans or specifications for any of the following. Third, nor shall anything in this act prevent draftsmen, student, clerk, or work, superintendents, and employees of those lawfully engaged in the practice of civil engineering under the provision of this act, from acting under the instruction, control, or supervision of their employer. Fourth, nor shall anything in this act prevent any person who prior to the approval of this act have been lawfully engaged in the practice of maestro de obras to continue just such, provided they shall not undertake the making of plans supervision for the following classes of work. Fifth, nor shall anything in this act prevent professional architects and engineers to practice their professions. The Board of the Civil Engineers is not allowed to issue any certificate of a person that is accused by the court in having a not normal mind. In this issue, the board shall make a written statement about the refusal of the certificate. The suspension of certificate is in the power of the board. When the expiration of the certificate approach, reissuing it is the same process as the registration but except for the examination. An aspiring person to practice civil engineering profession shall be required to get a certificate of registration. All civil engineers duly licensed under the provision of Act Number 2985 Law enforcement officials shall at all times fulfill the duty imposed upon them by law, by serving the community and by protecting all persons against illegal acts, consistent with the high degree of responsibility required by their profession. In this section, it tackled about being a licensed civil engineer. So there is no one can offer to practice civil engineering in the Philippines without obtaining the proper certificate of registration from Board for Civil Engineering. Any person shall not practice or offer to practice civil engineering in the Philippines without being registered in accordance with the provisions of the Act, or any person presenting or attempting to use as his own the certificate of registration of a registered civil engineer, or any person who shall violate any provision of this act shall be guilty and shall upon conviction be sentenced to a fine of not less than 500 pesos nor more than 2,000 pesos, or to suffer imprisonment for a period of not less than 6 months, not more than 1 year, or both, in the discretion of the court. It shall be unlawful for any person to order or otherwise cause the construction, reconstruction, or alteration of any building or structure, unless the designs, plans, and specifications of same have been prepared under the responsible charge of, and signed and sealed by a registered civil engineer. Plans and designs of structures must be approved as provided by law or ordinance of a city or province or municipality where the said structure is to be constructed. The practice of civil engineering is a professional service, admission to which must be determined upon individual, personal qualification, provided that such engineer or civil engineers holding valid certificates issued by the board, individual members of such firms, partnership, or association shall be responsible for their own respective acts. If a person is not a citizen of Philippines, he or she is not allowed to take the examination unless he can prove in the manner provided by the rules of court that by specification provision of the law. It shows the names and places of business of all registered civil engineer shall be prepared by the Commission of PRC periodically, but at least once a year. All laws, parts of laws, orders, ordinances, or regulations in conflict with the provisions hereof, including parts of Act number 2985 as amended, as pertains to the practice of civil engineering, and hereby repealed, except the provisions of Act number 3159, amending Act number 2985 pertaining to the practice of Maestro de Obras. If any part or section of this act shall be declared unconstitutional, such declarations shall not invalidate the other provisions hereof. This act shall take effect upon its approval. It was approved on June 17, 1950, as amended by Republic Act Number 1582, approved on June 16, 1956.